Hello, everyone, and welcome to Global GEG. Tonight, we are going to have a virtual paint night, and I hope you are ready. And I also hope that you have got your creative side ready to go as well. I was listening to Shooks and Gifts, and they were talking about this Emma lady, and Emma, like all of a sudden, came into my life, and we were just talking, and she's like, "You're my virtual best friend," and I was like, "Yes, I feel the same way." And so what Emma has done is like she's been sharing all kinds of stuff on Twitter. So if you're not following Emma, you need to follow her right now. So I'm going to throw up her Twitter handle on there. And make sure you do follow Emma because she shares some of the most amazing student work that I've ever seen. The things that she's teaching her students how to create in Google Slides and Google Draw is just amazing. So again, if you're not following Emma, she's one that you want to follow. Also, I was kind of craving one of these paint nights. I don't know about you, if anyone has gone to a local art shop and you have this like lead teacher that's teaching you how to paint these things. One, I'm really awful at like art. I'm more of like the digital kind of creator thing, like give me a color palette, that kind of stuff, and I can put it all together. But when it comes to like a canvas and like actual paint, I'm not so great at it. So, but I do love to do them. So I've gone to a couple of them where you're with your friends and they're painting along and you're trying to follow along and you're trying to paint this duck or whatever they're trying to paint. And so I was kind of missing that. I haven't gone to it since COVID. And so when Emma was talking about this on the Shooks and Gift podcast, she was talking about this virtual paint night and what this kind of looked like and what we could do. And so I was like, we have to have this on Global GEG. And so I'm so excited to have on Emma. So I'm going to bring Emma up to the stage. And Emma, do you want to tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Sure. And Steph, thank you. This is so awesome. I'm so excited. We're, just instant digital friends. We just love to create. We love to share. And it's just an honor to be here. Maybe just before, I'll just say who I am, I guess. So I'm Emma Cottier. I'm from Victoria, British Columbia. I am 3 hours behind Steph in the time zone. We're at lunchtime. She's heading towards dinner. But that's the best part about virtual paint night. You can be anywhere in your day, and this is going to be amazing. So I'm a middle school teacher, but I basically just call myself a creative technology enthusiast.
I do love that. Like how we're different time zones, but we can still connect. I'm also going to throw in the bit.ly for your slides. I know you kind of threw that up there real quick. So if you want to follow along, which I highly suggest you do, this is the link for the slides. So if you need them, they are right there for you to help guide you. I'll also throw them in the chat for you as well. Also, this is recorded. So if you were like, okay, what did Emma say? Or she went too fast, you can go back and rewatch this as many times as you need to. And you're able to kind of create. We also want you to share. So share out your creations on Twitter and tag Emma so we can see them. And we really are excited to see what you guys create today. So again, I just threw in there, and Emma, you are ready to go.
Awesome. And just a reminder, I know Steph is dropping the bit.ly. It's bit.ly/global paint party, but there is a ton of resources in this slide deck. So not only does it do the step-by-step tutorial, but Steph knows I love to share. It's Teachers Give Teachers, lots of good things in here. And I do see some familiar faces and names. So it's so nice to see you. And thanks for joining. I have another BC teacher. Shout out. Whoa, sorry, getting a little excited. Let's jumpstart. So again, my name is Emma. I'm from Victoria, a middle school teacher. I'm from the Sweden 17 group. I'm a consultant for the Cobblestone Collective. I'm a consultant for the Design for Learning, and I'm also a blogger for UpSavvy. If today's paint night, if you want to just share your creation or you want to just see the things I'm sharing, my Twitter handle is there at Emma Cottier. I would love to see your creations after today. I'm sure Steph does too. It is so fun to see what people create after a paint night. So our plan today is to unleash the creativity in yourself and in your classroom. Speaking for myself, I think students deserve or require any of the above, the ability to show their learning in different ways. And trust me, or check out my Twitter if you don't believe me, my students constantly blow me away with their thinking, their creativity, and their designs. Like I said, and I'll share a few examples today, but just giving them a little creative freedom does magic for their learning. And just a few things, just unleashing the student creativity. I'm a big promoter of it. It's great for the problem solving, the critical thinking skills, that student expression and voice. I have those students that may not always be able to share their ideas very well in writing, but giving them a creative outlet, you can really get this amazing snapshot into their thinking. Super cool. Digital fluency and student engagement and advocacy. And then stay tuned. I have lots of examples of student projects about how I am unleashing student creativity in my classroom. I would love just to get a little temperature check in the chat if you've ever done Google Draw before. Like, are you a 1? You're like, loving it. I'm feeling pretty good. Is it okay? Do you want to just flip that table? Or maybe number 4, you're like, I don't get it, but I want to. And I will assure you, regardless of where you are in these numbers, if you're 1, 2, 3, or 4, there's going to be lots of great takeaways today. So feel free to let me know in the chat where you're standing. Even if you're a 3, it's totally okay to be a 3. I'm sure after today, you will have some newfound love for Google Draw. And I see some 1s, I see some 2s. And yeah, slides. I'm definitely a slides person, but this is awesome. All right, just a little reminder for accessing Google Draw. You can do it 2 ways, is through your Drive, and I'll just show you this as well. So you can simply do drawings.google.com. And I don't know why Drawings doesn't have a short form. Like, we know it's slides.new, docs.new, forms.new. If there's any Google people watching this, can we have a draw.new? I think that would be so cool. But drawings.google.com, or what I always tell my students is in your Drive. So this is my Google Drive here. You will know I like to make things pretty. Is under the new and then more. I always tell my students that that's where all the fun stuff exists. So Google Drawings can be accessed that way. So open up Google Drawings, where this is going to be our blank canvas. I'm going to share kind of our inspiration first before we get going. So just a reminder, you can access both ways. If you're new to Google Draw, here is the tools. So the checkered is your workspace, and it's checkered because it's a transparent background, which I love, because you can, once you're done designing, you can even export as a PNG, which will lock in your image without a background, which you might want to do today, or you might want to throw a background. We, of course, have our undo, redo. We can zoom in. If I'm doing a really elaborate graphic design, I zoom in really far to get those fine details. The tool I'm using today will be under here, under the line. I will show you about that. And of course, we have our text box and our shapes, just like we have in Google Slides and Google Docs. Today's mission is going to be some portraits. Here's a little sneak peek. These are amazing. So A, they're fun to make. B, you can do however you like, but they're also great for building that sense of community at the start of the school year. So I have my students create themselves. We design them as 8x10s. I print them. I make an amazing gallery at the back of our classroom. It is so fun. And you might be thinking, like, I don't think my students can do this. They can. They totally can. And you can even use this recording for doing portraits with your students. So again, like I said, we're going to do portraits. This is my example on the right. We're going to be using the infamous curve tool. It's located in both slides and draw today. So if slides is kind of more your preference, more your jam, you can actually do the exact same thing in slides today. But I just love how portraits are great at expressing ideas from a piece of text, maybe some reflecting. We bring characters to life from our novel studies. You're going to see throughout the session many, many ways that I use these creativity tools in my classroom. So today, you can start brainstorming. You can do a portrait of yourself. You can do someone that inspires you. You can even do a fictional character. So I'm just going to give you maybe like 10 seconds. Be thinking about or getting a picture ready. If you're brand new to Google Draw, a fictional character can be a little bit easier than kind of what I call the real life portrait. But fictional character, anyone from Disney. I have students that do a lot of Pokemon, so anything you pick. But hopefully you are inspired today and have something in mind for your portrait. Now, Steph, I'm going to put you on the spot here, but Steph, are you ready? We're going to dive into this paint night right now.
Oh, I am ready. And the chat is on fire. I know you're probably trying to keep up, but everyone is so excited. When it goes back to Google Draw, it's about a lot of twos, some ones, and there are a couple threes.
I
But
love
just
it.
so you
We have a
know,
couple of table flippers, but you know what? I love a fiery spirit.
but we are ready to create. I hope everyone has their Google Draw open, and here we go.
All right, we are diving in. So I'm actually just going to start diving right in here. I am going to copy my portrait right out of this slideshow, and I'm going to put it in here. A couple things before we get going, just like we tell our students, let's always title our document in the top left. So I'm going to call this Emma Virtual Paint Night. And I'm going to zoom in. We always title things in the top left. We all know there's nothing worse than a Google Drive full of untitled documents. A big no-no. At this point, also use your Google search tools or your Google Drive, insert an image that you want to create your portrait of. Like Google Slides, Google Draw you can do a custom page setup if you want. So this is on the standard. Just a heads up, nothing wrong with standard, but if your goal is to kind of have printed portraits, you're going to, I would highly recommend the custom, because a 4x3, if you kind of enlarge it to an 8x10, it will be blurry. So I'm just going to, I think I'll do a custom 8x10 today. But with our lot of paint nights or design that I do in my classroom, we do a lot of standard kind of art or standard printing sizes, the 4x6, the 5x7, the 8x10, or sometimes an 11x14. So just showing you that again, my Google Draw is open, drawings.google.com, or through your drive, and you go File, Page Setup, and I'm going to do a custom page setup today of 8x10. If you wanted a landscape size, you would just reverse those 10x8. And a little trick, if I'm actually printing this, I actually make it like 80x100. I make a really high resolution image, but to do that, you just simply increase your dimensions. But we're going to stick with an 8x10. You'll notice when you change the size after you've put the image in there, it adjusts it. So I'm going to go ahead and just paste it again. And a reminder, we always drag from corners, because if we drag from the sides, it will make my head even rounder than it already is, or go in. So keep things proportional, drawing from the sides. Don't worry if your image doesn't fill your entire space, because you can simply add a background color, or you can double click and crop. So it doesn't really matter. I'll fill this space up a little bit more. So 5 seconds, go get your inspirational, your image, your portrait. Remember, in Google Draw, you can also insert directly from your drive. You can search the web. You could even just take your selfie like right now with the camera and turn that into a portrait. So make sure you have your portrait ready, because we are diving right in. I love it. It's like, let's go, people. Sorry, I'm just doing a quick scan. Yeah, no untitled documents. Title your documents. All right, let's dive in. Remember, this is being recorded, so if you miss a step, you can always go back and rewind. But we opened up our Google Drawings. We've put an image onto our workspace. We've titled it. We are ready to get going. Now, let's talk graphic design for a second. Graphic design is created in layers. I leave my background color to last, but when we start designing a portrait, you want to think about what would be easier to create first. And I actually start with things like the neck, then the face, and then I add the hair, and then I add the features like the eyes and the mouth, jewelry. I would add that last. You can reorder. A lot of you probably know that you can do that, but I always kind of work at the bottom and I work my way up. That makes my graphic designs a lot easier. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit. I want to introduce you to literally my best friend in Google Draw, which is this curve tool. So underline here, there's a little shark tooth, and you have more options. So the curve tool is here. It's the fifth one down. There's also the polyline tool, and it works exactly the same way. It just is going to give a more like geometric approach to your drawing. I'm going to show you some examples after our painting is done. We're going to go with the curve tool today, but just know if you're already kind of well versed in Google Draw and you want to do kind of a more geometric one today, feel free to use the polyline, but we're going to go with that curve tool. Now, the first time you use the curve tool, it could be a bit of a love-hate relationship. It needs to be a closed shape. So I'm actually just going to show you off to the side here so you can see it. So if you click and click and drag, it creates this line connected to your cursor. You have to always come back to your starting location to make a closed shape. Now, I can't emphasize how important that is. It has to be a closed shape. You have to come back to your starting location. And if you'll notice, if you look really carefully to my cursor, when I'm getting back to that starting location, you'll almost see like there's like a bit of like a magnet approach there, and they will lock in. So you need to create that closed shape in order to do your coloring. So curve tool, it's a click, drag, come back to your starting location. Don't worry about it being perfect because you're actually able to adjust it. So I am going to zoom back out a little bit so you can see. I'm actually going to start with my neck. And I know that sounds so crazy in a portrait, but you'll notice that my hair is on top. I'm going to be building up. So I'm just going to do the outline of my neck. And don't worry if you're kind of tracing. So the curve tool is like a tracer. Don't worry if it kind of goes up into your face area because we have lots more shapes to put on top of that. So you'll notice I just clicked and drag. I made that closed shape. And when we have that closed shape, I am then able to fill color it here. This is my fill color. This is my fill outline. Of course, you have all the colors here. I am a huge fan of the custom colors. I'm get super really nerdy with the hex codes. A lot of you might be familiar with Slides Mania, but she does this amazing, she uses coolers.co, but you can even pull off the hex codes. I have an extension called Colorzilla that I use. If I want like the exact color from a picture, there is extensions that can do that for you. I'm just actually going to mix my own paints, so to say, because we're in a virtual paint night. Most skin tones, I'd say like 90% of all skin tones exist kind of in the orange zone here of the hue. And you can go as light or dark as you want, but there is lots and lots of skin tones all in here. I am going to find one that I think looks sort of close to mine, but you can make them as realistic. I always tell my students, you can make them as realistic or not realistic as you like. That is the beauty of portraits. They are your own. So I've done my own custom color. Not a perfect match, but you can always go in and adjust it. I'm going to go maybe a little bit lighter. And you can choose now. You'll see that I have that black border on there. I personally, for my portrait, am going to choose not to do it. So I'm going to choose a transparent border. So I've done that one curve tool. I've done my neck. And if you see here, and just I wanted to show you in the resource here that I have the step-by-step instructions. I started with my face on that one, but it doesn't really matter. But teachers, in the resource, if you did want to do these with students, it is there available for you. And all graphic design is with Google Draw is going back to the curve tool again. I am now, what you can do, if you're like, okay, my image is covered up, I can right click, order, bring to front. I can bring my original image to the front again. You can see that the first shape I've made is underneath there. Lining it back up. I'm now going to use that curve tool again. So fifth one now. I'm then going to trace the outline of my face. Again, not worrying about being precise because I'm going to show you on this one, how can I adjust it? And I know some viewers are probably out there and saying, you know, Emma, I'm using this curve tool. I made a boo-boo. I accidentally double-clicked. How can I fix that? Now, unfortunately, if you double click, and this is that love-hate relationship, but unfortunately, if you double click, you do need to go back to your cursor, back to your curve tool, and start over. And if you do make a shape and you don't like it, you can always click on it and hit backspace on your keyboard to delete it. So that's where that curve tool is kind of a love-hate relationship. A few of you watching might have accidentally, clicked twice and that locks it into a line. And unfortunately, there's no way of adding to it without starting over. Awesome. Now I'm going to fill color my face. Now a little trick here. Here is my biggest advice when creating portraits. So I'm going to drag this away so you can see it. So this was my neck. This was the head shape that I just created. I'm going to turn off. I always call it turn off, but I'm going to turn the border color to transparent, but I always call it turn your outline off, but it's actually transparent. But you'll notice when they're all the same color, like my neck and my face, like all blobs together. But a little graphic design technique is if you just do the shading of your face one shade lighter, so I can go back to that custom. If I just go up a little bit lighter, like a smidge lighter, now we get that shadow effect on the neck. And you're going to see, I'm going to show you some of my design examples, but that is the trick most of the time, is to go that one shade darker or that one shade lighter, and you get those shadows, that contouring, those beautiful effects. And those are what takes like a really good portrait to like an amazing portrait that blows your mind, is just going that one shade darker, one shade lighter. So I've done my face. I've done my neck. Let's keep going. Let's bring this portrait to life now. I'm going to then move, I think I'm going to move on to the hair, and you can do it in any particular order. I'm going to click on my original image. I'm going to bring it up to the front again. So right click, order, bring to front. So again, that was right click, order, bring to front, relayering it. I'm going to put my original image on top, go back to that curve tool. And I'm going to just quickly do the outline of my hair, and you can start in any particular order. So I'm just going to do some of the bangs here. And then flowing down, again, not worrying about being precise. And moving back up and coming back to my starting location. Now, I gave a little hint at this before. Like maybe you've done your close shape, but you're like, oh, I want to smooth out some edges. You can do that. If you double click, those purple dots are everywhere that you have clicked and dragged. And you can move them in and out. You can smooth out any of your lines. And I do this all the time in my designs. So maybe here on my hair, you're like, oh, I want to smooth that out a little bit. Just simply double click. Maybe I want to bring this out a little bit and bring this over here. Simply double click and you can access. So there's my close shape again. If I double click on it, I can move these points in and out to get my design exactly how I might like. And that's one of the beauties of this curve tool. This curve tool is the most amazing tool. We call it the tracing tool a lot. It is just incredible. It allows you to create literally anything. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to turn my outline to transparent, and I'm going to pick a color for my hair. My hair is pretty much black, but I actually do a custom color, and it looks like black, but it's going to be actually a really dark navy blue. So there's my hair color there. And it seems like everyone's doing great with their design. They're loving that trick about the shading. So remember, with faces, even with noses, because a lot of noses are really hard to do in portraits. But if you just do it with a shade that's one darker, you can create magic. So I'm going to go ahead and just do the other side of my hair here. And don't worry about going off the sides of your canvas. Because when we download it as a PNG or a JPEG, it does all the virtual paint night cleanup for you. Another perk of the virtual paint nights, you don't have to worry about cleanup. It does it for you. So now I'm going to slide this over and show you. And this is where that double clicking is going to come in, because you're going to see that I actually have a little bit of a gap between my face and my hair. So if I double click, I can move those points in and I can adjust it. And so that's coming along really quite nicely. I'm quite happy with that. Steph, I might just pause here, but is there, have I missed any questions or?
No, the shading is helping me. And the little purple dots, like I just did my hair on my Google Draw and I was able to kind of move them where I wanted them. So I don't know how it's going to turn out yet. I just did my nose.
Noses are hard. And it's great that you mentioned those purple dots, because when in doubt, when you're doing that curve tool and you're like click, drag, when in doubt, just throw some extra clicks in there, because essentially the more purple dots you have, the greater the ability you have to manipulate your design. Because you can see with my bangs here, I don't really have a lot of options other than to kind of like move it over or move this down. But if I had more purple dots, so to say, I can manipulate it even more. So I'm glad you mentioned that. Awesome. So I just want to point and maybe just pause here for people. With my portrait, I have literally just done 4 close shapes with the curve tool. So every individual color gets its own close shape. Sometimes with the hair, like you can see that I've done it in 2 parts because I find it easier to do that. You could do it all together, but I've done 1 close shape for the neck. I've done 1 for my face, 1 for the left side of the hair here, and 1 for the right. So in just 4 shapes, I've essentially made a portrait. And I think it's looking pretty good. I think we could add a few more details. And reminder with things like the neck and the face. With the neck, if you just go like 1 little shade, not far down, just 1 little click further, you can do some pretty awesome things. And remember, double click, do any adjustments that you would like. So now I'm going to move on. I think at this point, what I might do is the shirt. And you can decide, you can go in any order because I've shown you that you can relayer if you need to. But I'm going to bring my original image up to the top. So order, bring to front. And I'm going to go back and get the curve tool, 5th one down. And I'm just going to do a quick outline of the shirt. And this doesn't have to be perfect. You're going to see that I actually totally go off the workspace because when I'm done my creations, I download them as a JPEG or a PNG. They can even be copied over directly to your slides. By the way, slides has the curve tools. It's in the same location. It's the 5th one down. So I'm going to do no outline. And I might actually... I always change my mind. I might actually just do a solid black. Let's see if that turns up. Not bad. I'm going to adjust the color. I'm going to adjust the shirt here. Actually, I'm going to make it a color that everyone can see better. I'm going to go for this green color. Now you'll notice that it has gone over top of my hair, and that might be happening to some of you. If it does that, there's two ways. You can either go order, send backward. Now send backward goes one layer down. So it will essentially go over the last thing. Or with my hair, I can go right click, order, bring to front. So you can order two ways. You can either send something down in the layers or something up in the layers. There's keyboard commands for it as well. You can see Control Shift and up can bring things forward, or Control plus, Control and down can move things. And I'm going to bring this to the front. So you can always be layering. I have 5 closed shapes now. Now, let's talk about facial features. They are also done the same way with the curve tool. Now, I want to go back to one of my original designs here to show you. Let's talk about eyes. Eyes, I'm going to go into full screen mode for you to see here. Eyes are a very, very challenging thing to do in Google Draw. They're definitely doable. I would actually create them with quite a few layers of the curve tool, but I actually find portraits just really beautiful with the closed eyes there. So I'll leave it up to you how you would like to complete your portrait. I'm going to go back here and show you just a few more ways that I would add to mine. I'm going to right click, bring it to the top. And I also want to just show you, so as I'm getting into the finer features of the face, I'm going to zoom right in. So I use my zoom tool. I get right in there. There's quite a close-up of my smile. Hello, everyone. But I'm just going to, again, I just go into the curve tool and I create these portraits shape by shape by shape. Now I teach grades 6 and 7s. I find one lesson on these portraits and they are off or running. They are so quick to catch on. And like I said, you will see shortly, they create amazing, amazing art. So I've done the lips. I'm going to turn off, take a transparent border color, and I'm going to go ahead and do a custom color. You can make the lips as vibrant as you wanted. Actually, I might go slightly more into the pinks over here. Actually, I changed my mind. I'm going to go back over here. All right, so there's a lip color. And you can, what I love about portraits is you can be adjusting them all the time. I am a perfectionist at heart, so I am constantly adjusting colors. But you can see now I have the hair, I have my neck, I have my shirt, I have the mouth. I could choose to add teeth or not add teeth. That's totally up to you. I'm going to just show you how to do the outline of the eyes. Again, zooming right in, zooming in. And this is what I teach my students. So we actually do our portraits with the eyes closed. It is your preference. But you'll notice my underneath eye, kind of where that black eyeliner is. If I just use my curve tool and trace that bottom portion, this will actually create me a really nice kind of where the eyes are closed. You'll notice that one's quite bumpy. So you can, of course, double click. You can smooth it out. Some of you are like, what if I find really nice eyelashes online, like a PNG? Yep, that totally works too. You do have a lot of options. So I am just going to fill color. But you can see that I've just traced the bottom portion of my eye. I'm going to just adjust it here. You can see that I'm a perfectionist, so I'm just going to keep adjusting that. But now I'm going to show you, if I zoom back out to my full screen and I move this, you can see that just tracing that bottom part is giving me a really nice outline. I actually like that the eyes aren't open, but there is one way of doing the eyes right there. Awesome. Great job. I'm so proud of you all. Maybe Steph will take like just a little, I'm going to do like, you know, a 10-second kind of catch up break. We'd love it in the chat if you want to even just share your inspiration. Are you doing like a self-portrait? Have you gone with a fictional character? Maybe you're going to make a new like profile picture for your Google. Let us know in the chat. We'd love to hear from you, kind of how your design is going. Is there been a new takeaway, a new tool, or you're just like, how haven't I done this before? How have I not created my own kind of avatar, my own portrait? And I know Steph's been dabbling with hers. Steph joined me not too long ago for a similar activity. But maybe Steph will put you on the spot now that you've kind of done it a couple times. How's your portrait?
Yeah, I think the other session was like 20 minutes. Was that right?
Yeah, it was
And
quick.
yeah, and so I'm learning a lot more tips, like the shading. You might have said it, but I don't remember. So I'm like, "Oh, that really does help." Um, Also zooming in. I didn't
Oh,
know
yeah.
to zoom in on the eyes, so I'm doing that right now. Um, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, my eyes zoomed in though."
No. Well, and it's like if you really zoom in, it essentially becomes pixel art. I mean, that's the
Yeah.
beauty of graphic design. But you're like, whoa, those are my features really up close. And this isn't, I have to be honest, this isn't always easy for students to do their own. I actually find students feel a lot more comfortable doing, a celebrity or an athlete, someone they look up to, which is just fine too. But I'm going to show you how this also translates into this classroom. But Steph, I'm really proud of your creativity journey. It's been excellent.
And, someone just asked in the chat, Sherry, she was wondering, do you have an example with glasses?
Ooh, do I have an example with glasses? I do. I totally do. If you don't mind going into my drive with me for a minute here, I recently, and I hope she doesn't mind, I'm going to put on the spot here. But I had a virtual colleague of mine ask me to make a portrait. I'm sure she won't mind. This is one of my colleagues, Emily, but there is one kind of with glasses there. You can see I had the original one on my right, but glasses can be done. It depends on your glasses, but if you had, I call them like the Harry Potter style glasses, you could even do them with the shape tool. You could insert your circles and make them that way, or your ovals. But these particular glasses I did do with the curve tool, but I did them in multiple sections. So yeah, glasses, that's a really great question. So there's an example there that I wanted to show you. That was a group portrait that someone asked me to do.
And I love how they have it side by side, like the real photo, and then here's like the creation one.
Yeah, and that's what I do all the time. I just bring photos to life. It's really nice to kind of have a personalized thing. I do it for gifts all the time, but I just recreate people's images. And maybe while we're doing a little creation break, I'll show you another one. I have lots of just random designs in here. We do it all the time. So diving into my drive, here is another one. So I'm very much on the West Coast. You can see here's the original image. It was kind of grainy, kind of blurry. This is actually from my brother-in-law, and he said, "Can you recreate this for my office?" Absolutely. And you'll probably be looking here like, whoa, Emma, that's a crazy amount of curve tools. You're right. It is. It's a crazy amount of curve tools, but it's literally about the layering. These are just layer by layer by layer by layer using the curve tool. Every single thing in this painting is the curve tool, except for I have a background color and I have a rectangle at the bottom, but the rest is the curve tool. The whale is the curve tool. Because I'm on an island. I am not very south. It's a very big island, but I'm actually on the Vancouver Island that straddles Canada and the US. And this is, I mean, I don't get to see whales every day, but this is very much something that we could see out here. So you can see just really, we're starting to see those learning applications there and how we can create everything. So thanks for journeying into my Google Drive, and keep those questions coming because I have lots of examples. Now, I have tips for the nose. So let's show a few more details. I want to just show a couple more things. And then I'm going to get into, I have about 20 minutes left with you because I want to blow your mind with some of my student examples. So I'm just going to quickly do the other eye. Just doing the bottom here. I just do the bottom with the curve tool, moving it back. I am doing this one a little bit quicker. and I do the fill color. Now, I know in the chat someone has asked me about the nose, and that's a really, really good question. All you need to do, and I'd actually do the same color that you chose for the neck, is just do a little bit. So I'm going to do kind of the curved portion of my nostril, I guess you'd call it. So I'm just going to do little bits of it. And I'm going to take off the border color, but I'm going to choose that slightly darker color. I think I got that one for my neck, but I'm just going to make sure I got the right one. And you can see, I'm going to zoom in here. I'm just going to make it a little bit darker. Custom color. Sorry if I've gone really fast. That's the beauty of being able to pause and rewind. But if I zoom in here on my painting, you can see my nose starting to come to life. And that is actually just the trick. Because a lot of students, when they are doing a nose outline, they would be like, okay, I'm going to do the black outline. But that's actually incorrect. You actually just want to go a shade darker. So you would do that for any kind of contouring, is literally that one shade darker or maybe two shades darker, depending on the different things that you're doing. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can dig up another portrait to show you. Sorry about all my random things in here. I'm going to have to, I'll get you another example and come back, but it's all in the contouring. So fitting there. So that was a question about the nose. And then from here, it's just adding a few different layers. So there, if you wanted to put like a little bit of tone in the hair, I'll just show you this. You could just make another curved. Awesome. And this was the hair color I have chosen. So if I just go, like I said, one lighter or one darker. So now you can see that I have added like a little bit of tone in the hair for maybe someone that has like a balayage. I think is that how you say it? Like balayage, or someone who's cooler than me that gets their hair done. You might have different colorings, but you would just add it with the curve tool. And maybe while I have the drive open, I actually have a folder of portraits of inspiration, and then I'm going to blow your mind to finish off, or hopefully blow your mind with some freebies. Sorry, I'm just going back in my drive here. So I have some portraits, and these mostly are students. Now check out this one. This one's amazing. I can't even take credit for it. This is one of my grade 7 students this year. I know Steph's probably going like, what? Like, really, Emma? This is a grade 7 student. The only difference, this is that polyline tool instead of the curve tool, but just layer by layer by layer. Amazing. So that one is, of course, an incredible one. This one was just done by a student of mine, Billie Eilish. And again, layer by layer, you can see with the face, there's really fine details in there. This might help with some of you that are tackling kind of the nose and those challenges right now. You can see that all the shading is done with that shade that's just one or two darker, and sometimes it takes just like exploring that shade there. But zooming in on that face, you can even see that the student has done 2 tones for the lips. They've done a little bit lighter and a little bit darker in the hair, and it's just about layering, which is magical. And maybe we'll do a little Tay-Tay. Who doesn't love a little Taylor Swift? This one in particular is actually the polyline tool. They've just done lots of clicks. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. The shading in the hair is excellent. The shading in the face is excellent. You could even use a combination of the polyline tool and the curve tool. I tend to do all curve tool or all polyline tool. Because I like my portraits to be consistent in one thing, but that's just my own choice. This one has just incredible shading. So I just wanted to show you that. From here, if I was, had lots of hours with you, I would continuing layering. I'd add the necklace. I'd add some more contouring. But for today's purpose, I'm going to just choose a background color. You could pick something in the Google Paint palette. You could do a custom color. I think I'm going to do a custom. I really love those like minty teal colors. There we go. There's my background color. And under the file menu, I can download it as a JPEG, which is going to lock it in with the background. A PNG would actually be the same as a JPEG in this instant. But if I didn't do the background color, I could just lock it in. You can even just click and drag to highlight it all. And you can go over to your slides. So you can insert the JPEG or you can insert the graphic, and it's not even inserting, it's just a copy and paste. I'm just going to do a blank layout here. I can paste that in. You'll notice that this is way bigger than my slide, and that is because I did the custom drawing setup here. So you can move these in. But the great part about the JPEG, as opposed to just copying it over, is the JPEG is going to keep it proportional. But just showing, and then I can have students, tell me about themselves, or if it's a character, they can tell me about the character. Lots of great connections once they have these design features. Now I'm going to just drop back to my slides, my original slides here. Teachers, if you want to use this, all the steps by steps in here, and I always love, everyone always says, oh, my drawing's so bad, students do too, but I know Steph and I would love to see your designs if you're comfortable just sharing it out on the Twitter. But teachers, remember, in this slide deck, it was bit.ly/global paint party. I do have the step-by-step, great to follow. And then I want to show you a little inspiration. So this was a grade 7 student. Example portrait number 1. This is the polyline. Here's another one. This is all with the curve tool. You can see great contouring on the skin, the face, amazing. I forget which show this is from, so I'm sorry if you're watching, but another great design. This is the polyline tool. Ronaldo, so you can see this is mostly curved tool. You can see that the student has left the outline on some of the parts, and that looks great as well. Oh, Augie from Wonder. So my students, and we do written tasks as well, but there's something so powerful about the students being able to recreate their characters. Now, Steph, let's get into what teacher doesn't like some goodies. Steph, you want some goodies today?
We do want some goodies. I also put in a link to a blank slide deck. Add your designs because I just added mine and my nose is really rough. So I don't know what to do with it. But add your designs in there because I would love to see them, and then put your Twitter on there too, just so we know who it is that created that.
Yeah, get credit for your art. And honestly, the more you do it, the more natural it feels. You kind of get a feel for the coloring and the shading, but I love it. I'd love for you to share your design. So I'm going to pop out of present mode here because there is so many freebies built in here. So on slide 33, I, in my spare time, made a digital alphabet using Google Slides. Now, to me, Google Slides and Google Draw are best friends. I get the question all the time, like, why would you use Draw when you could do a lot of it in Slides? Some of it's just your personal preference, but I use Draw for creating like the actual graphic, and then I use Slides for compiling it all together in text. So just if you're wondering, kind of, there's my preference. But in this was on slide number 33. These are all created by my students. Like we read the whole book, and they created aerial layouts of the camp. We design dream bedrooms. We do infographics. We create element superheroes when we're talking about chemistry. Of course, we do research. We do lots of graphing. Residential schools are a big part of Canada's history. We're learning from it, the truth and reconciliation. But I think a picture can often convey a lot more emotion and meaning than words. So we recreate pivotal scenes from novels and books. Of course, inspirational, there's Malala and Lily Singh. These are novel summaries. So my students write about the novel, and then they create their own little graphic. So this one in the front is from the novel The Breadwinner. That's the main character, Parvana. I make infographics all the time for my classroom. This one here is from the Outsiders novel. This is from the City of Ember novel. Instagram. Now, these aren't actually templates. These are just created from scratch. I call it from scratch, but layering the text boxes, the circles, cropping the images from the web. Anyway, there's lots of great ideas in here if you want to kind of push that creativity level in your classroom a little bit. That was slide number 33. So slide, just showing you a few more examples. On slide number 39, it's not Google Draw, but I have made you a Be Kind classroom poster. This is an 11 by 14. So if you love it and you like it and you're like, I really want to put that in my classroom, just download it as a JPEG and then just upload it to your favorite printing store. It does have a custom page setup of an 11 by 14. So there is that for you. You can download it and then upload it. Slide number 40, I designed this when kind of that peak March of 2020, the pandemic hit, but I use them all the time for in-person or virtual. But on slide number 40, I call it skip the Google slide design. Here where I live, you have skip the dishes, which is like the food ordering service. So I call it skip the Google slide design. I have included templates anywhere from elementary school, middle school, secondary school, all subjects. Of course, some of you will need to change the money on there, but I use hundreds charts. I highlight the different ones for the multiples, for the prime numbers, the composite numbers, the multiplications, shape shorts, sorry, tongue twister. Lots of great templates in here. If you see one and you're like, oh, I really want that template, there is an easy way to do it. So say if you're a high school math teacher and you wanted, oh, I want to do this binary code. All you need to do is copy. So you right click copy, slides.new, and paste in you want to use, and you don't have to ask me. I'm putting it in here specifically. Sharing is caring. You can use any of my templates here. Just try to avoid me sending you those the edit requests. I will not be able to let you in because it's my original, but you are more than welcome to file, make a copy, or right click on the individual slide that you would like and paste it into a new one. I have so many tabs open here going back, but skip the slide design. Like I said, there is more than 50. There's 10 by 10 grids. There's diagrams. There's Pythagoras. But it even just to inspire you, if you're like, oh, I really like a template, but I'm going to tweak it for whatever we're doing in my classroom, please do. Tangrams is really fun. You can do this in Google Draw as well as Google Slides, but students can rotate, put these together. So lots of different ways that you can get creative in your classroom. I'm just sorry, I'm getting entertained. Noses and eyes are the struggle with portraits. Always the struggle. You are not alone. So slide 40, there is lots of design templates for you. If you're into the Bitmoji classroom, linking resources for your students, I have some of my templates for you on slide number 41. I'm just saying, it's crazy how fast an hour goes. I could share with you all day, but I just wanted to show you some other ideas for getting creative in your classroom. I link different novels. These are some of kind of our favorite middle school novels. You can link them to PDFs. You can link them, to Amazon Prime or maybe other district resources you might have. Slide 5 is the virtual field trip. So this is using Google Arts and Culture, which I'm sure we all love. I'm a huge fan of it, linking them to different things to check out. But just give you a few different examples for Bitmoji classrooms. You can drop these right into your Google Classroom as an assignment. And I just do it a view only for my students, and then they can click on where they need to go. So lots of different examples for linking resources, getting creative. I have a little human at home that loves where the wild things are. So I've linked different read alouds in there, but lots and lots of great stuff for you. That's slide number 41. Let's do a couple more freebies to end. If you're interested in doing kind of Google Draw in your classroom and you're not really sure how to start, or you're like, I don't know if I'm ready to take this on just myself. On slide number 42 is a Google slide kind of design tutorial. I've set this up as a template, but if you click on it, it's going to load. I'm just going to clear off a couple tabs here. I got a lot of things open, but it's called Fun with Forky. And all you have to do is make a copy of it, drop it in your Google Classroom. In mine, it's just as an enrichment thing. Like if a student is done early, they can do it. And I've even included little videos. So there's no preparation required on behalf of the teacher. And it basically allows them to create the clouds, create the title, also practices searching for those transparent images on Google. And you can see the building of the step by step by step. And they create their own little Toy Story, which is fun. So that's a really fun tutorial for you. And I think we have time for one or two more freebies. If you want your own custom classroom banner, I'll just show you mine here. If I go into my Google Classroom, I have quite a few of them, but I will choose this one. So you can see I have my own custom banner. So if you want to make yours, you can do that. I've turned mine into a GIF, but that's a whole different paint night session. But there's a custom banner for you, as well as some instructions on the next slide. And finally, if you're like, okay, I want to do another paint night with Emma, I have linked a couple of videos. As I said, I do lots and lots of them. The first one is a paint night inspired by Roy Henry Vickers. He's an Indigenous artist, very talented here on the West Coast, based out of Tofino. If you've ever been there, he has given his blessing to do this. We are so fortunate for that. Each lesson is about an hour, same as this. But Roy Henry Vickers is one. I've also included a PowerPoint and Emily Carr. Emily Carr is an artist from here in Victoria, world renowned, very famous. Her original house still exists, but I have actually linked 2 paint nights for you. And the best part is all you have to do is hit play. All the instructions, everything are in there for you. So again, slide 45 and 46 is some more paint nights. And I will stick around for a couple minutes, but I want to just say a huge thank you to Steph for inviting me to join you for this paint night. A huge thank you to all you global GEG leaders and what you do. And I just hope today has sparked a little bit of creativity, maybe sparked some new ideas. Moving into the new year, back in the classroom, just some ways that you can kind of engage students and give them a little creative freedoms, because let me tell you, they will blow your mind. So let me know if I can show you anything else, if I can answer any questions. But Steph, thank you.
Yeah, there was one question. So is there a reason that you use Google Draw instead of slides? Do you prefer it? Is it pretty similar?
Yeah, that is a question I get a lot. So I did mention previously, but I use Google Draw for creating kind of the actual graphic. And then I put that graphic onto my Google Slides usually. But it really, I mean, you could essentially do the same thing in slides. So I would say it's really come down to a personal preference. I'm programmed to do all my design work in drawing. And then I always combine it together in slides if I'm adding, text, or I want to link some resources. I'll then transport that image into slides. But that's always such a good question, because there is so much overlap between the two.
Yeah. And that was the only question that I saw. A lot of people are like, they're still working on their nose, their eyes. But everyone is so thankful that you were able to do this session for us. So I really do appreciate you coming on, sharing your knowledge, and your creativity, because you are like one of the most creative persons I know. I just love seeing your stuff on Twitter. And like you shared a New Year's template. So I cannot wait to use that as well with my students. So thank you so much for always sharing and always being a part of the community and giving back.
Oh, thank you so much. And if you want, I have lots of templates and freebies and other ideas on my Twitter. So at Emma Cottier. But even if you just want to share your design from today, I'd love to see it. So thanks again.
Yeah, and we do have a couple designs. Let's go ahead and bring them up.
And we give mad props. It's not always easy, you know, being vulnerable and putting your artwork out there. But thank you.
Oops, I got disconnected. I exited out of the wrong tab. But here were some of the shares. So here's mine. You can see my nose needs some work in my mouth. I feel like those two areas. And then I really love Barb's. I know you're saying your nose needed some work, but I love your eyes on this one. Like the way that you did the curve tool on that looks really good. And then we've got Judy here. Okay, those eyelashes, Judy, I don't know what you did, but those look really good as well.
Awesome. These are amazing.
So make sure you add yours on here, but also share it on Twitter because these are just, they're so much fun and I just love seeing them. So make sure you share on Twitter, tag Global GEG, tag Emma. I want to make sure there's no other questions.
Oh, look at that in the right. I love that. I'm sorry, I'm just like catching up with some of these images, but that's what I love. When we see other people's work, it inspires us. I'm always gathering ideas from other people. So very successful. You have all done so well.
Someone's officially addicted in the chat. They're still working on their hair. But again, they said thank you. So thank you again so much, Emma. We really do appreciate it. And we hope to have this again. So hopefully you are on board for another session to do maybe some other type of art. I know you do like a lot of geometrical stuff too. So maybe we
Absolutely. I am game. Again, we could dive into a landscape. Maybe we'll dive into the kind of the polyline tool next time, but we could do a full-fledged landscape painting next time. But you have all done amazing.
All right. Thank you again, Emma. If you wouldn't mind, please fill out the feedback form for Global GEG so that way we know how to improve and we know what sessions you're kind of looking for as well. So I'm going to go ahead and throw that into the chat. The banner is up there right now, but make sure that you leave us feedback because we want to know how can we improve and how can we continue to support you and what you need. And then thank you again for coming. Thank you, Emma, for sharing. And please share your creations on Twitter and tag Emma and Global GEG. We would love to see those on Twitter. All right, guys, have a great, great night.
Thank you for joining us at this Global GEG event. You can watch this recording as many times as you want. Visit our website or Twitter for more information. Don't forget to join our Google group. Don't forget to fill out the feedback form. Thank you for joining us at this Global GEG event.